It's so good to be in front of so many great familiar faces, new faces, everyone walking in. As we do get started, I just want to do a quick land acknowledgement that we are on the Ocheti-Shakti-Win, 7 council fires. Yes, tribe, before we get going. I just want to, all of you care so deeply about not only Rapid City, but also about South Dakota, and it just feels so grounding and energizing to be with you all tonight. I do have to say, the organizers of this event, who definitely deserve a round of applause, so let's go ahead and give everyone a big round of applause. They knew exactly what they were doing when they picked Friendsgiving as a theme. It's the one night of the year when you can gather Democrats in South Dakota and nobody has to pretend the political conversation is about to ruin the meal. And doing it here at this Dahl Fine Arts Center makes it even better. Because if democracy is an art, at least we're in the right place. As many of you know, I often describe democracy as a garden. Something we nurture through presence, patience, and persistence. And tonight is connecting to what we're growing together. As I look ahead to the upcoming legislative session, I did want to share some of the work that I'm bringing forward. There is so much to talk about, and I will try to keep it short, but before diving into specifics, I want to offer an important caveat. I'm still working on many of the details, and a lot can change before I'm back in here in January. Drafting bills takes research, coordination, and constant adjustment. And like many legislators, I'm doing it while also trying to keep a day job and attending as many community events as I can, so I can keep listening to the needs of District 32 and the communities I serve. So one area I'm focusing on is government transparency. I can't say it enough, transparency.
Yeah.
Specifically, I'm working on a bill, together with several local organizations, that would require any South Dakota agency working with immigration and ICE to report quarterly on the number of arrests and detentions, and among other information, to disclose the actual costs of those activities to taxpayers. In other words, when our agencies enter into these federal agreements, the public should have clear information about what is happening in our communities and how those agreements are being used. No matter where someone falls politically, we can all agree that masked federal agents detaining people in our neighborhood, especially individuals with no criminal record, it raises serious questions that deserve honest answers.
Yeah.
This bill is not about taking a position on federal immigration policy, I'm at the state level. It's about trust, accountability, and responsible governance. If government actions affect our neighbors and our tax dollars, people deserve reliable data. Not rumors, not assumptions, but transparent, accessible information that any voter can understand. So that's one area. Changing gears to focus on environmental policies, I also want to highlight the work of organizations across our region, groups like the Black Hills Fly Fishers, the National Wild Turkey Federation, Pheasants Forever, and our conservation districts, and so many others that are quietly doing the long, patient work of strengthening water resilience and fire protection in the Black Hills. Our region is facing real water shortages, drier forests, and growing fire risk. So I wrote a resolution to amplify the work of simple, science-based conservation tools that make a measurable difference. So repairing and restoration, big word, but it just means a technical way of saying bringing life back to our stream. And helps water in the ground and reduces erosion. And beaver dams, kind of random, but beaver dam analogs, which are small man-made structures designed to mimic what beavers naturally build. They slow water down so it can spread out, soak in, and stay on the landscape longer. They may not grab headlines, but they are practical, cost-effective strategies that give us healthier waterways, greener habitat, and natural buffers that help protect communities from drought and wildfire in the Black Hills. So I'm also bringing forward a bill from the American Kidney Association, again, kind of jumping all over the place here, but to protect living organ donors from insurance discrimination. Especially since South Dakota currently has an F rating for living organ donation. No one who chooses to save life should be penalized for it. Protecting donors is not only a good health policy, it's an affirmation of the generosity and courage that define our communities. Another focus, it's a lot, but another focus, of course, as an educator, have to bring education bills. Another major focus is ensuring that schools can build and expand facilities without placing heavier burdens on families. I've started a bill to establish a 0% interest loan for schools, for school construction, giving districts an affordable way to modernize buildings and meet student needs while easing pressure on the very talked about property taxes. A school building is a multi-decade commitment. It's a place where the roots of the future take hold, and we must put in strong investments there. Alongside these efforts, all over the place, but alongside these efforts, I'm working closely with Democratic colleagues and even several Republicans who have showed real partisanship on issues that affect families across the state. And I'm proud to say this: when it comes to doing what's right for South Dakota families, I will work with anyone, Democrat or Republican, who's willing to roll up their sleeves and solve real problems. And let me be clear, bathrooms and books are not real problems. The real work is happening in the areas where people are asking for help every single day. That's why we're examining legislation on education, criminal justice reform, childcare, and affordability, the issues where bipartisanship cooperation is not only possible, but necessary. Some of the work is still in early development, but the conversations have been thoughtful, genuinely collaborative, and they keep me hopeful. Although this is maybe a bit random, self-care has been coming up in many of my conversations with people, and it's so important right now with everything that's going on. But in this moment, when a growing health and wellness industry is trying to sell us quick fixes for problems that are fundamentally structural, I want to highlight that real self-care is inseparable from system care. There's a quote from the book Real Self-Care by Pooja Lakshmi, if I'm saying that right, that captures this perfectly. You can't meditate your way out of a 60-hour work week with no childcare. And don't get me wrong, I love meditating. I love the practices that help us reset and breathe, things I have to do in Peer on a regular basis. But the truth is, even the best personal tools can only carry us so far when the systems around us are strained or broken. The policies we're advancing are meant to strengthen those systems, so families feel less pressure, communities face less uncertainty, and just don't even get me started on what happened with SNAP. But South Dakotans they need to be able to focus more on thriving than merely coping. So that work is also why tonight matters. Just as policy requires collaboration, so does leadership. And tonight is a moment to recognize the statewide candidates who are here with us. Their running statewide in South Dakota is no small task. Each of our candidates brings strengths the state needs, a commitment to responsible government, a focus on families and rural communities, a respect for tribal nations, and a willingness to work on practical solutions rather than political performance. Their leadership is vital to the future we want to grow. So I know some of you may or may not have drinks, but I like to end with a toast. So if you have a drink, go ahead and hold it up. If you don't, you can pretend like you are. And be sure to clink with those around you. But here's to the Friendsgiving community that gathers us, steadies us, and reminds us that community is our greatest renewable resource. Here's to understanding that self-care is system care, and that policies we fight for are creating a state where people can breathe easier and thrive. And here's to tending the garden of our democracy, together with patience, purpose, and a belief that the next season can always be better than the last. Cheers.